Welcome to the Crown Commercial Service webinar, Building a Strong Statement of Requirements for Network Services. My name is Ralph Hegarty. I work in the Network Services category, which is part of the technology pillar within Crown Commercial Service. Today on the agenda, we are going to be looking at what a Statement of Requirements is, why it is important, what should it include, and the procurement decision cycle. So how a strong statement of requirements contributes to the procurement decision-making process for network services. So what is a statement of requirements? Statement of requirements captures what you are looking to achieve from your procurement. It articulates the current state and future requirement, and is an essential component of your procurement under network services. Why is a statement of requirements important? Well, it provides clarity for suppliers on your requirements. Issues can crop up later if you haven't been clear, for instance, more clarification questions. And the success of your procurement depends on a strong statement of requirements. What should a statement of requirements include? You need to include details of your current estate, so what part of the network your procurement will relate to and how that will impact on what the services or products that you're looking to procure at this stage. The requirements should really focus on the outcomes rather than being overly specific on technologies, for instance. But where appropriate and specific technologies are required, for instance, if you have interdependencies with other parts of your network architecture or infrastructure that you're not going to market for, then absolutely these should be defined. You should look to articulate the requirements as clearly as possible, including any key dates that are important to the procurement and the service. Key date examples such as contract commencement date and service live date, and the required contract term and any possible extensions, bearing in mind that making that appropriate for the service that you're going out for could need some work internally or pre-market engagement as part of your work to establish what you're actually going to market for. The decision cycle. This is the part of contract management, in-life management, or coming up to procurement of a new service that your organization hasn't previously required. And this decision cycle runs through the entire process from defining your requirement through to the implementation and running of a contract. Within that decision cycle, we look at determining the contract options. So do you have something that you can already utilize? Looking at selecting the appropriate procurement option and delivering that procurement option, bearing in mind that a trigger event can happen at any point during the decision cycle. Here are some of the trigger events that can lead to a procurement decision. Is your contract expiring or has it already expired? Is your contract coming to the end of its initial term? Although an extension may be available, you might be able to obtain better pricing going back out to market, as connectivity prices do tend to fall over time. Or perhaps technology has moved on and your organization can benefit from more innovative solutions. Worth mentioning here that the extension options for a call-off are set out when the call-off is awarded and cannot be added in life, even if the framework allows for a longer term than has been selected by the buyer. Has your contract fallen into a rollover status? The same applies. Whilst your services are likely to be out of contract and could fall outside of the regulations, especially if over threshold. Is your organisation looking at relocating or reorganising and restructuring, maybe even adding new premises? If so, is what you had still fit for purpose for the new structure and physical estate? Similarly, are you looking at new applications or changing the application requirements? Again, is the network still fit for purpose and delivering for your end users, both internal and external? Are you seeing increasing usage and bandwidth demand? Is there room to flex your existing capacity, or do you need to review the bandwidth and potentially even the technology underlying that? Are you changing working practices, such as moving more into the cloud, resulting in more network traffic? When you consider all of these factors and take into account what your organization's plans are, these all help contribute to the detailed statement of requirements that forms part of your ITT. Some other potential aspects to consider is early termination charges. Even if the services have not reached the end of their initial term, then depending on the remaining term, if early termination charges are low, better value may still be obtained by ceasing the services before the contract expiry in favour of cheaper and or potentially superior ones. And making sure you're aware of any exit provisions. So examining the existing contracts, establish whether they contain any exit provisions, and also making sure that you bear that in mind for the reprocurement. Next, we come to defining requirements. You're really looking to set the scene. What is your current estate, both physical and technical? Any existing dependencies, so platforms that the new services will need to integrate with, such as MS Teams, for instance. What are the must-haves? Any technical requirements that are crucial to the delivery and use? Do you have site types? And what kind of integration will all of that play into? How long do you need the service to run for? When does it need to be in place? And any value add aspects, including social value, thinking of the services you are procuring and how best to achieve this. When it comes to determining the contractual options, do you have any current contracts that are already in place which are suitable? So are the services you're looking for now in scope of those current contract options? And if so, would it fall within the regulations? So that also includes things like maximum spend and things of this nature. Do you have any extension options? If so, are they going to be long enough for you to roll out any new services and then still get the value out of them before the contract expires? Or again, as mentioned in the previous slide, would there be better options to go back out to market, avail yourselves of the newer technologies and potentially more up-to-date pricing? And then if there's none of those options available, then you're really looking to go to market for a new procurement. Having reached the decision that you're ready to go to market, it's now time to select the appropriate procurement option. This involves choosing the appropriate framework and lot or lots thereon, which might also include some pre-market engagement, supplier sessions, this kind of thing, as well as potentially an RFI, a request for information, which is a way of really engaging with the suppliers in the level of detail that allows them to feed back on your plans to ensure that you're heading in the right direction for the outcomes that you want to achieve. Then it's time to decide the procurement route within network services, and that can involve either a direct award or a further competition. The direct award is based on a catalogue system with service offers published by the suppliers on that lot, whereas a further competition is where you publish your ITT, your invitation to tender, along with this statement of requirements, and that allows the market to then bid against your requirements. When it comes to delivering your procurement option, you need to ensure that It all adheres to any procurement regulations, complies with all appropriate governance, and minimises the risk of a supplier challenge. We have Buyer's Guide to Direct Award and Further Competition available, which covers a lot of the detail you'll need to understand in order to go to market through our agreement. A very key part which we mustn't overlook as part of procurement is the implementation and running of the contracts that we deliver. Things to consider are such as transition and implementation, especially for new contract, taking into account the current services that are being replaced or need to be integrated with, as well as effective contract and supplier management. So planning ahead, keep a clear view of contracts and expiry dates, as well as how long it will take to procure the services and migrate. Consider the known trigger events, so initial term and any extension options, as well, bearing in mind what the other options might be outside of those. The notice period, making sure that is accounted for, such that the appropriate notices can be served. And keeping abreast of the market trends. This helps you understand what potential solutions are available, as well as the appropriate contract length, for example. When it comes to exit management and transition, this is key so that new services have time to be installed within the life of existing contracts, and that the obligations on the outgoing supplier are clearly stated and costs are understood. An area that is very prominent across public sector procurement is social value. Understanding what our obligations are key when we're going to market, as well as understanding how these can be delivered through network services and what are the potential issues and how to avoid them. The direct award and further competition process allows customers to produce a social value priority statement and discuss with suppliers how they will deliver on that social value commitment, and this will be incorporated within the call-off contract and commitment can be measured. Consider how suppliers should be expected to report against the impact statement and how often. What kinds of measures are appropriate, qualitative and or quantitative, whilst social value could be a standing agenda item on contract management meetings, for example. These are some example social value priorities. There are resources and guidance available, such as Procurement Policy Note 0620, taking account of social value in the award of central government contracts, and the Local Government Association covers achieving community benefits through social value on their website. Some of the key areas are COVID-19 recovery, tackling economic inequality, fighting climate change, and equal opportunity. So in summary, we have covered what a statement of requirements is, that it covers what you are looking to achieve and is an essential component for your procurement, why it's important, that it gives clarity for suppliers, preventing issues cropping up later in the process. What should it include? Amongst other things, we need to include the key dates, outcomes, and any interdependencies. And we covered the procurement decision cycle, all the stages from defining your requirement to implementation and running of the contract, remembering a trigger event can occur at any stage. We have a statement of requirements template along with all our other guidance, and these are available on our network services website. And finally, here are the email and contact number for our customer service centre, along with the Crown Commercial Service website.